and we're back with part 2 of our episode about meta and paid advertising. Let's pick it up right where we left off with our senior account strategist, John Taylor.
You want to make sure that when you get to this step that you're really careful. Obviously, you can choose your locations. You can choose by country, anything else that you're looking for. The one thing to be really wary of when you get to this section, though, make sure you click Switch to Original Audience options. Do not use the Advantage Plus unless you're running that test that you'd like to run. It will tell you this. This is very much based on what Meta assumes it knows about you and your company. So I want to use the original audience to make sure that we're as tight as possible. Here, it's going to keep recommending it to you. Just skip by that. I'm going to start with my highest quality audiences. I don't have any here, but in this case, if I had one in this account, I would use first party or a list from a primer or other tool of that nature. You also want to make sure you add exclusions if you have people who purchased, things like that. Additionally, there's a few things here. You want to look at your ICP and determine if they're going to be in this age range. It's highly doubtful, especially if you're looking for like decision makers or people this information can really impact. So I would definitely look at, they kind of limit you in some ways, especially with the 65 plus. But I tend to look at like a 25 to 54, but it really depends on what you're looking for in your ICP. You can also use Facebook's detailed targeting. The easiest way to kind of see if it has what you need is the work section, which has job titles in it, and you have to find the job titles. So for instance, if I was looking for somebody who works in marketing, I could do that. These are super broad, so you really want to make sure that when you're diving into these and really adding them, that you're being smart about it. These are going to be things that are layered on top of your custom audience. So you want to make sure that, if you need to use this because you don't have a tool or you're not confident in your list, be really careful, pick a lot, and then do a lot of exclusions. My favorite type of exclusion are people that are retired. You definitely want to go through and add people that are retired. They do tend to sneak through on campaigns. Also, one that's particularly popular that comes up as a spam lead is homemaker. So things like that, you want to make sure that you're adding in students, things like that. You also want to turn off Advantage detailed targeting. This is a secondary way that Facebook can kind of force you into some of this. But what this will do is expand your audience without letting you control that. Beyond that, some basic setups. Always leave Advantage Plus placements on. There's going to be a lot of placements you don't think are good for you. But in reporting, you'll see, whether Instagram search placement might actually perform better for you than Facebook's feed, or a WhatsApp placement might work better for you if you're international. So moving on to the ads piece. Again, I'm not naming anything. We're going to be using a lot of examples here. Again, this company's blurred out. But I'm going to build the ad. First thing, I always make sure that I have a square version of an image and other sizes, particularly vertical and wide. I'm going to use this one image here and show you what you can do with Facebook here. You can actually edit the media and make different sizes. And since I'm using dynamic creative, you could do this 4 times. Facebook will let you crop it automatically. If you're not using dynamic placement, it'll give you these options as well. Dynamic creative really just lets you add more than one image so that you don't have to build 6, 7 different variants. What it'll also do is allow you to optimize. It'll use its AI to optimize for each person. I'll typically leave this on unless the campaign stops performing the way I'd like it to be. I would also add 5 text, 5 headlines, 5 descriptions, display link, and if you want to test different CTAs, definitely do so. The most important part of all of this, besides your audience targeting, is creating your form. I'm going to use a test form that I set up ahead of time. Basically, what you're going to be doing is going through this form setup and using it to pre-qualify as much as possible. So you feel great about your audiences and exclusions and all of that, But really what it comes down to is there another step that we can add to make sure that your B2B audiences are the right people on Facebook? So one thing I like to do is add higher intent. I'll show you what that means towards the end of this. You can add an intro. I like to do that just to give people more information. But instead of doing that, we're actually going to add some pre-qualifying questions. Toggle on conditional logic. I've already done that here. And then what you can do is set up as many questions as you want. I recommend 1 or 2. Don't make people jump through hoops like too much, because you control what happens when they choose certain answers. So for this step, I actually have yes or no. Do you handle, in this case, jobs to be done for your business? So if you were a tech company, do you handle, these tools that are kind of similar to what we offer help with? If the person chooses yes, it'll actually move the person to the lead section of the ad. If it doesn't, it's going to move them to the end page for people that don't qualify. They're not even allowed to fill out the form. One thing with these questions below here is you want to make sure that you don't have too many, you have just as much as you need. Facebook has added this optional piece. Otherwise, everything's required. These are auto-filled by Facebook by what the person has set up on their profile. There's a work email versus personal email option. A lot of people don't have that filled out. You may get still through this step in pre-qualifying in your audiences, get those personal emails, but still reach out to those folks. You also get the company name, job title, first name. There's a lot of different options here. I would definitely keep it as light as possible, because the questions are already going to get some people down to where you want them to be. You have to add your privacy policy, really straightforward. Review screen. This is what the higher intent means. It'll show them the info they're submitting, and it'll make them slide to submit. Slide to submit isn't a typical Facebook action, so it really does make the person think about what they're doing. That will potentially lower the volume of leads that you get, but I do think it's making the person think and go, okay, do I want this information or not? Do I want this company to have my information or not? Finally, you have a number of options, particularly if you're using a white paper. So for people that aren't a lead, they see a message like, based on your answers, this might not be the best fit for you. Check out our website and drive some action there. However, you have options for the people that do end up submitting the lead form. You can send them to your website, get them to call your business if that's relevant to you. I'm going to be using this method, which is adding a PDF. Okay, so I'm going to choose this sample PDF that I have. And basically, when the person goes through this form, you can change this call to action to anything you'd like it to be. I like to say, download your free copy. And then they click that, and this will automatically download from Facebook. So you don't have to do anything in that respect. Another option here that I'm starting to warm up to is, because I love this, because when people leave the platform, they hate leaving the platform. I think there's 2 ways you can run this. You can run it this way, where they download it, never leave the platform, and are generally a little bit happier. Or you can send them to a website. At this point, you already have their information. Send them to a website where they can either just directly download it, whether it lives in a reader on your website, or you can have them fill out another form. Not my favorite option. You already have their information. So bringing them just to a place where they can straight download it or read it is the best option, because at that point, if you don't need them on your website, you can just have them download the file. But if you do send them to your website, what's going to happen is they're now added into your retargeting pool for all the other platforms. So LinkedIn, that website visitors audience, now has people from Facebook on it. So if they're not Meta, Facebook, Instagram users, and are on LinkedIn, there's a way to kind of collect your LinkedIn data the same way. But with Meta to LinkedIn, same deal. If they use Facebook, Instagram, they end up on your website, they're automatically added in to that audience, provided Google doesn't get rid of cookies tomorrow. So at this point, you just create your form. I already have the form created, and you connect it, fill out your copy, I'm just going to go test just to give you an example here. You can take a look at it. You can send it to your phone, take a look, preview, and good to go. So if you get all that stuff set up, I think you'll have a good place to start with Meta for B2B.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for walking us through that, John. Very thorough, but I love all the insights. So thank you. So how do you measure performance and optimize with this meta advertising strategy?
The main way to do it is to use what's on the platform, right? That's the main way if you're not a big company, if you're not a big B2B, if you're a startup. It can be hard to trust it in a lot of ways. I would say that, you want to make sure that your CRM is connected and that you're looking at the leads that come from it. So make sure that, what you're getting is quality, adjust as needed. And if you use dynamic creative, Facebook will actually give you results on what images perform the best, text, description, all those things. So there's so much to look at, but I think at the end of the day, are they good leads? Are they in their CRM? And are they workable for you?
Absolutely. So what results are you seeing from implementing this strategy?
I have a company, typical, qualified op cost is $8,000, right? In B2B, that's not totally crazy. They gave me $15,000 to spend on Meta after talking them through some ideas that I had, and they got hundreds of leads, very low cost, and hundreds of junk leads. But they got 2 that turned into op, which actually brought them about $1,000 less than what they were looking for in terms of leads. So if you take Facebook with a grain of salt, you can set everything up the way you want it to. Meta has a lot of information. At the end of the day, you will still get things you don't want, but if you can work the ones that are quality and get them back into your pipeline and other websites, you're going to do great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. John, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and wisdom with the SaaS marketing community.
Of course. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. So thanks everyone for watching and keep optimizing and keep innovating. Bye, everyone.